to Zoom Palestine, everyone. We're waiting for our featured speaker to arrive, Mr. Abu Toha, and meanwhile, we will welcoming everyone from wherever you are. We're playing some Palestinian music in the background. So welcome Naomi and Diane and Yusufa and JNP and Beatrice and Norby. Ah, there he is. Hi, Mosab Abu Toha. Welcome, welcome. So happy to have you here. So while we're waiting, Victoria and May, welcome Roland, ZG, and Lena Chayusi. Welcome everybody to Zoom Palestine. And Steve Bloom popped on. Hi, Steve. So while we're waiting for people to come in, we're playing Palestinian music, and I wanted to run by you some events from this week from the electronic intifada. Um, uh, one of the positive things that you may not have heard about is that let me blow the sound on our Palestinian music a little bit. You may not have seen this in the electronic intifada, but very good news from Oakland, California, where the union workers, hundreds of Bay Area activists and dock workers picketed at the port of Oakland, successfully preventing an Israeli vessel from unloading on the 4th of June, 2 days ago. So that's very good news. Evidently, from around 6 p.m., the Volans, a cargo vessel owned and operated by Zim Shipping Corporation, pulled out of its port, bound for Los Angeles, but the protesters prevented the ship from docking for more than 2 weeks after its scheduled arrival date. By refusing to unload Israeli cargo, Oakland workers are throwing a wrench in the Israeli economy and putting pressure on Israeli apartheid, tweeted Jewish Voice for Peace. Each day the Zim ship can't unload, the largest Israeli shipping company loses millions of dollars. We're sending a strong message that profiteering from Israel's apartheid and ongoing violence against the Palestinian people will not be welcome in the Bay Area. They've led a group called Global Block the Boat Coalition to prevent Israeli cargo ships from unloading. So that's the good news. The not so good news is the article that you should all check out about how tech giants have helped Israel muzzle Palestinians. That they've attempted to censor TikTok, and they've also appointed an Israeli censor on the board of Facebook. So there's a very good article on the shadowy cyber unit Israel has to monitor Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, etc. They've been given a blank check to police social media and muzzle online dissent. So this is something we need to pay attention to and we need to speak out about. The other thing that's problematic is this Thursday is a big day where Israelis are going to be coming out with flags and settlers are going to be coming out. There may be another incident at the mosque and lots of violence. So we're anxiously looking at what's going to happen on Thursday. But Israel politics right now is a shambles. So we have no idea what is going to happen in Israel. It's good to get rid of Netanyahu, but the far right coming in, who is even more extreme than Netanyahu, is not good. So we will keep posted today. So we have 30 minutes for our guest. And where is he? There he is, for Mosab Abu Toha. And then approximately 30 minutes for people to read their poetry. So Mosab, I want to make you a a co-host. So let me see. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. Okay. Now you're a co-host. So you can share your screen with us, etc. So I have a few questions for you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
hi. So nice to thank you so much for joining us. It's very exciting to have you here.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
and
It's my pleasure.
hearts are with you. So I have a couple of questions for you to begin our interview. What you said you studied English literature. What field did you particularly like when you were studying English literature? Which,
Yeah, well, I mean, I liked writing in general. I mean, I liked poetry, I liked fiction, and recently I found myself writing more and more nonfiction. I mean, in the form of uh, diaries, memoir. I mean, it's very necessary to document everything I'm living in. I mean, through whatever form I find myself writing in. So sometimes some things come in the form of a poem, some things come in the form of a short story, and also in some essays. So I think I started to use my language to express myself by particularly after 2014, the Israeli 51-day aggression against Gaza. So I found myself
so
writing,
Mosab,
creating.
what have you been inspired by any particular writers uh, who have inspired you to write?
Yeah, I think particularly Mahmoud Darwish, the Palestine national poet,
Yeah.
Ghassan Karathani, the Palestinian short story writer and novella writer who was assassinated in Beirut in the 1970s at the age of 36. So these two figures, I mean, who used their language to speak on behalf of their community. So I think writing for us is not only about talking about what happened to us, but also it's about what we are dreaming of.
uh, your hopes for the future. Do what do you think you'd be writing if you weren't if Gaza wasn't in such a violent, horrible situation? We know Darwish and many of the Palestinian writers reacted to the trauma around them. Do you think you'd still be a writer if your life was like calm and safe?
Yeah, of course. I like the sea. I like the sunset. I like the flowers in our gardens. I like to write about these things. I like to talk about my children, telling them some fairy tales. So those kinds of things, I think I would be writing about if I was not someone who lives under siege, who was born under the Israeli occupation.
When did you first start writing?
2014, I was a grad. I mean, it was so 2014. It was the year of my graduation. So instead
Oh,
of celebrating, yeah,
wow!
and
What timing?
well, I mean, the graduation ceremony was scheduled to be held in June, or I think it was July 2014, but because of the Israeli destruction of my university building, it was postponed. So instead of celebrating the graduation, our graduation with my colleagues, we celebrated in the midst of destruction, and some of our colleagues were missing because they died in the attacks. So some families came not to celebrate with their children and their sons or daughters. They came to take a portrait instead of a diploma or a bachelor's degree.
Wow. Yeah, I was in Amman when the war broke out, and I was totally freaked out by what I was watching at Al Jazeera, and started doing paintings. It was very, very disturbing, and I'm worried about the ceasefire. Have you heard about this event coming on Thursday? Uh,
Yeah,
Israel, yeah,
the
yeah,
flag.
yeah. What have you heard about that?
Well, I think many Palestinians, especially in Gaza, are looking forward to that day. Uh, some people are anticipating maybe more violence to break out. And some people in Gaza don't want to be involved in these things because we haven't yet recovered from the strikes. we have received.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
many families are still living in tents in front of their houses. And I can tell you about some of the things I saw in my way to school. Um, some children don't want to go back to school because they think it's not a safe place. Some children don't want their parents to spend a lot of time outside their houses. They want their parents to be with them because they fear that they will be killed outside, or they might be killed in their home without their father. So I mean, it's still, I mean, the population in Gaza, especially the kids, and we know that 50% of the people in Gaza are children. So these people are traumatized. So they don't wish to be part of anything that might take place in the near future.
Yeah, they're all in post-trauma shock, and I know that there are many of us. I'm an art therapist. I would love to go to Gaza and work with children, but I doubt I could get in. I don't think but these children are going to need help for years to come. This doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I was traumatized by separation and war when I was little, and it still affects me in many ways. So these children are really basically scarred for life, even if they survived physically the war, emotionally, psychologically, they're scarred. May I ask you about your library? I have a lot of books I would love to give you. How do you get books? How do we get books to you?
So the only reliable way of sending books from the United States to Gaza is through USPS, United States Postal Service. So this is the only way that books can travel and make it to Gaza. Other ways such as FedEx or UPS couldn't make it to Gaza last times. So I once got a call from a FedEx agent in the West Bank, which is, is on the other side of
Right.
uh, Palestinian territories. So they called me. They said, Musab, we have some books for you. I told them, okay, I'm in Gaza. Can you give them to me in Gaza? They said, we cannot reach Gaza. We cannot give them to you in Gaza. You should come to the West Bank, or send someone to the West Bank and pick them up from there. I told him we are not allowed to go to the West Bank to visit our families, and you want me to go to the West Bank and get some books? So I mean, I'm not sure, but USPS, United States Postal Service, is the only reliable shipper uh, to Gaza
What
as
about
far
the
as.
tunnels? Maybe if I got some to the Rafah tunnels from Egypt,
No,
and send them
yeah,
through the
well, I mean, yeah, all international mail comes through Israel to Gaza. It doesn't come through Egypt.
tunnels, not through
So
Egypt.
it's part of the siege. It's part of the siege and
Yeah,
occupation.
yeah, yeah. So, Mosab, share with us
Yeah.
what you want to present to us. We're all here for you, and you should know that there are many, many people in the United States who are here for you. And our hearts are broken, and we feel helpless. So we just would like to hear what you have to tell us.
Yeah, well, I mean, my time. I would like to divide my time into three sections. The first section is about, it's a kind of an essay I just wrote for this event, and then I'd like to show a few pictures and tell you some information about these things. And then the third half, the third slot would be about poetry. I would write some poems to you.
Great.
So though Israel stopped bombing Gaza 2 weeks ago, many families continue to live the aftermaths of the horror Israel practiced over the 11 days. The drones never cease to buzz. The gunboats shoot at the fishermen regularly. Israel closes and opens areas whenever it wants, and controls who leaves or enters Gaza through it. Ares is one of the two sole border crossing points in Gaza. In the 11-day aggression, Israel killed 250 people, more than half of whom were children and women. Many homes have been destroyed, many times on top of people inhabiting them, sleeping in the beds. Entire families were massacred. A Tanani family fell victim to the brutal and indiscriminate Israeli bombardment. Ra'fat At-Tanani, 38. his pregnant wife Rawia, 35, and their four children, Ismail, 6, Amir, 5, Adham, 4, and Muhammad, 3, all under 10, were killed under the rubble of their home in North Gaza, not far from where I live. What most, what most of the world, what most of the people in the world seem to deliberately ignore is that half of the population in Gaza are children. So when Israel bombs a street or a house, half of the casualties are kids. Another fact no one pays attention to is that 70% of the people in Gaza are refugees and their descendants. These people, and I'm one of them, never set foot in their original hometowns, never saw the cities their grandparents built and lived in for hundreds of years, never tasted the fruit or vegetables from their grandparents' farms. Not only are they not allowed to live or say visit these places, but they are besieged in the 140 square miles that's called the Gaza Strip. They get frequently attacked, sorry, they frequently get attacked and killed by a major occupying power that's called Israel. What many people don't know is that Gazans and Palestinians are among the most educated people in the globe. Literacy reaches as high as 97%. However, due to the unfair siege and occupation, unemployment gets as high as 43%. Some Gazans funnily say that now they have a bachelor's degree in wars. Everyone born after 2008 has lived through four vicious attacks: 2008 and 9, 2011, 2014, and now 2021. Any jobs for these 2 million people other than freedom? Maybe Gaza is now mostly off the news, but what most people don't know is that we only get 2 hours of electricity these days. When the ceasefire was declared 2 weeks ago, people in Gaza took to the streets. The streets they haven't seen for 11 days. They were marching and hugging each other now. They were marching and hugging each other. I got calls from many friends. We are happy you and we are safe. I'm not sure how safe we are, even after Israel stopped bombing us. Most of us were looking at ourselves in the mirror at the time. We were counting our family members. I feel so sorry for those who lost all their family members. It was a time to grieve, time to cry, time to understand what happened to us. And most importantly, it is now time to get our rights. It is time to lift the siege. It is time to be free and forever.
Thank you. That was wonderful, Mosab. You summarized it in a very powerful way. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks for listening. Now I'm going to show some pictures uh, of people I care about. Hello, Naomi. It's good to see you.
And we also are on Facebook Live, so we have some people on Facebook Live, which is great too.
It's good to hear that. So can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is
Take
a
off,
picture.
click off your. Okay, we can see a fish in the background, and there's a gentleman in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a picture of the husband and the child of a friend of mine's niece. This father, the father is just handicapped, as you can see. Was he used as a human shield? Maybe it was his wheelchair, or maybe the baby's glasses.
Were they killed? Mosab?
Yes, yeah.
God.
And here is another picture. So this is a displaced family which received their new baby in an honor school, displacement center. A grandmother gives the first shower to their 1-day-old child away from home. I'm sure the baby's new clothes have been burnt under the rubble of their house. His new crib crushed into pieces. In Gaza, you can be born in a refugee camp, in a displacement center, or under the rubble with your mother, sometimes before being delivered, sometimes with your whole family. This is one of my friends, Yahya Ghaben. Yahya is a handsome young Palestinian man from Gaza. I used to greet him whenever I went visiting my sister, who lives close to him. I would always smile to Yahya, and he to me, and he as he fed his horse when both of them returned at sunset from the farm which Yahya and his family grow in Beit Lahia. Before he died, Yahya was tending to the plants and the trees in their farm. Now Yahya is no longer there for his horse, not for the trees, not for his family, not for his friends, not for me to smile when I visit my sister. Hello, I'm a child who happened to be born in Gaza. If you were in my place, what would you be doing? Will you be smiling like me? I have not, I have not yet known that I'm the only survivor in my family. One, one last one. Excuse me. Okay, so this is a picture of a man who was pulled from under the rubble alive after most of his family were killed. So we are not stones in Gaza. Even stones cry when they see our blood seep down our heads, arms, legs, and backs, when they smell the burns in our skins and hair. Stones wish they could stop the bleeding. They wish they had hands, soft ones, to dress our wounds. In this picture, what is this man doing? Was he waiting? Was he thinking about his wife, his children, his neighbors, or was he waiting for another bomb that makes sure no stone breathe? There is a picture of me standing on the rubble of the. I'm pointing here in this picture to the house where the At-Tanani entire family were killed. I mentioned the family of the two young parents and their four children. So the mother and the father, as I mentioned, and their four 10 under their four under 10-year-old children were killed. I asked their neighbor, who was sitting in a tent in front of his destroyed building, about what happened that night. It was a Friday at 1 a.m. He told me they, the next day, would find the bodies of the kids and their parents thrown out of their house right under the rubble of their neighbor's house. In Gaza, you are buried twice, under the rubble of your house and later below the ground. So these are pictures of two of the At-Tanani children. So this is Adham At-Tanani, 4-year-old. Excuse me. And this is his brother, Ismail. Uh, okay, so just one last picture. The first poem is, in Gaza, some of us cannot completely die. Every time a bomb falls, every time shrapnel hits our graves, every time the rubble piles up on our heads, we are awakened from our temporary death. This is a photo of Rafif Abu Dayer, 11 years old. I wrote this. When you died, they carried you on their shoulders, wandered in the neighborhood. They didn't find a place to bury you. They didn't find a place to bury you. Everything saw you, except for your house. It was destroyed. You were the bride whose wedding never came. My city after what happened some time ago. The noose is tightening around the city's neck. Looters undress the city, sell its clothes and jewelry to the monsters in the sea. Trees, bare and heads down, blow their yellow leaves, try to cover the house's private parts. Bathtubs filled with warm water for the new bride and groom. In the stall, they sell a photo of my young grandmother. Didn't know she began to smoke when she got older. I wished I had a cigarette with me to put near the frame. I once tried to light a cigarette and smoke. I burned a finger and never tried again. My grandfather's cane leans against a dusty wall near my young father's school bag. Two men hurriedly grab the books piled up below the stall. They buy them for the first price the seller announces. Their hands vomit them into the sea close by. The words' eyes turn red with salt. The maps overdrink, and water seeps through their bellies. The city no longer exists, but in the holes in the earth. Nowhere I must go but to a new untrodden road. Gaza tourists. In Gaza, tourists walk down the narrow streets. Kids gather around them, mouths wider than the sky, and ask, "How are you? What's your name? Where are you from? Do you like it here?" It's not that they await any response. They just need someone from outside Gaza to talk to them so they can make sure they are capable of chatting, of being heard, that their mouths can utter healthy words, no longer shattered by the F-16 bombs, or soon with barbed wires. One day, those kids will tell their grandchildren, "We spoke English with some Americans and Brits, mostly journalists, and they, in turn, smiled at us." This is a prose piece. Everyday meals during wars. In the previous wars, our neighbors would share all meals together in our basement. My brother would start fire in the old brazier, and I would prepare tea and put the kettle on the burning coals. There were truces every 2 days. My father could go and check on the hens and ducks in their coops. My mother would climb up the ladder, put water in bowls on the roof for the sparrows and pigeons, which could leave their whereabouts when no warplanes parade through the dark sky. Men would be taken to jails or concentration camps. They could see those who were fighting and killing them and their families. Nowadays, we don't see those who take everything beautiful away from us. We don't even see our shadows during the day. The F-16s swallow the light from the sun, and they cast the shadows of their fat bellies on us, dead or alive. We no longer share meals with neighbors. Bombs punch the houses, knock them down, smash the fridges and the dishes. A house turns into a concrete and blood paste. Okay. Come, little bird. Come, dear little bird. Can you stand on my window for a minute or two? There are no traps or cage in my room. I'm a vegetarian, if you want to be more assured. Do you see? I have books on birds and trees. I only want to look into your eyes. Maybe you saw something I haven't landed my eyes on before. We don't have an airport here. Maybe you saw Jaffa, its beach, its old houses. My grandfather's not yet erased footsteps. Can you try to find these images for me? I have some food for you, and I can show you images in my eyes while you decide. I might have seen someone you are looking for. This poem is about our evacuation of our house in 2008 and 9 war. We had to leave our house because of the Israeli random shelling. So this is about leaving a childhood behind. I was aged 16. When I left my childhood in the drawer. and on the kitchen table. I left my horse toy in its plastic bag. I left without looking at the clock. I forget whether it was noon or evening. Our horse spent the night alone. No water, no grains for dinner. It must have thought we have left to cook a meal for late guests or make a cake for my sister's 10th birthday. I walked with my sister towards our road with no end point. We sang a birthday song. The hovering warplanes echoed across the heaven. My tired parents strolled behind, my father clutching to his chest the keys to our house under the stable. We arrived at a rescue station. The news of ceaseless strikes roared on the radio. I hated death, but I hated life too, when we had to walk to our prolonged death, reciting our never ending ode. Okay, so this is a poem about the sea. It doesn't have to do with Gaza or Palestine. So this is a kind of a poem maybe I would be writing about if there was no occupation. The sea, girl, and sandal. The waves in our sea shake hands with the sand on the shore every 5 seconds or less. The boats park on the beach. The fishermen hurry to get their nets, count the fish they have caught. Some fish jump, look at the sea, shout for the waves to extend their fingers, not to betray them. Two young men say hi. The fishermen sell them 4 pounds of roast sardinellas, mullets, and crabs. Their dog barks and wants to buy. The lads pretend not to hear. They start to run. Another exercise. The sun sinks in the sea, goes down like a spoon to stir the salt at the bottom of the sea. I walk past the boat. It's dark, but the waves know their paths. I do not. I walk on for 100 meters, stop to see a deserted green net near some cement blocks. It has some trash stuck between its threads. I I rummage through the trash. My eyes fall on a plastic sandal. It's pink. It must be for a girl. It fits a girl who is my daughter's age, 3 years and a half. A sand crab shows up. It looks at me. I see tears in its eyes. Might it know what happened to the girl? Maybe that girl had drowned or just dropped her sandal in the sea while in a boat. But the crab's tears tell me she isn't okay. The crab starts to dig a hole in the sand. It's teaching me how to bury the sandal. I bury it and make a wish. I wish the girl now is a mermaid. I wish she would come and put her sandal back. Two last poems. We are looking for Palestine. We are looking for Palestine. The sun rises and moves around. It sets to visit other places. And we are looking for Palestine. The birds wake up and look for food. They chirp on the blossoming trees laden with fruit, with peaches, apples, apricots, and oranges. And we are looking for Palestine. The sea waves lap against the shore. It glitters and dances with the fishers' boats. And we are looking for Palestine. People travel to relatives and friends. They book round trip tickets, stuff their suitcases with gifts and books and clothes. And we are still looking for Palestine. Sir, we do not have airports and seaports, no trains, no highways. We don't have passable roads, sir. We do have crutches and wheelchairs, young men with one or no legs, no longer able to work, as if there was work. We travel to the West Bank or Egypt for surgery or to set a broken leg. They are close to us, but we need a permit to enter. We stuff our suitcases with pictures and memories. They feel very heavy on the ground. We can't carry them, neither can the roads. They scar the surface of the earth. We get lost in the past, present, and future. When a child is born, we feel sad for him or her. A child is born to suffer here, sir. A mother feels the great pain in labor. A child cries after leaving the dark, but secure place. In Palestine, it's always dark. In Palestine, children always cry. If you want to travel, we travel many times. In Gaza, a place I know well, you leave either via Ares or Rafah, a very hard thing to do. I want to see Tom Cruise and his Mission Impossible team do this. Then we search for a place to have the visa interview. Cairo, Istanbul, Amman, but not in Palestine. This is the first thing to consider. We travel in anxiety. We don't have embassies, sir. The one in Jerusalem is very hard to reach. It is only 97 kilometers away from Gaza, but it is as far as the Andromeda galaxy. Andromeda is 2.5 million light years, but all we have are dark years. It should take trillions of years. Sir, we are not welcome anywhere. Only cemeteries do not mind our bodies. We are no longer looking for Palestine. We are dying. Soon, Palestine will search for us, for our whispers, for our footsteps, for our fading pictures falling off aging walls of silence. The last, sorry, the last poem, My Grandfather and Home. 1. My grandfather used to count the days for return with his fingers. He then used the stones to count. Not enough. He used the clouds, birds, people. Absence turned out to be too long. 36 years until he died. For us now, it is over 70 years. My grandpa lost his memory. He forgot the numbers, the people. He forgot home. 2. I wish I were with you, grandpa. I would have taught myself to write you poems, volumes of them, and paint our home for you. I would have sewn you from soil a garment decorated with the plants and the trees you had grown. I would have made you perfume from the oranges and soap from the sky's tears of joy. Couldn't think of something purer. 3. I go to the cemetery every day. I look for your grave, but in vain. Are they sure they buried you? Or did you turn into a tree? Or perhaps you flew with a bird to the nowhere? 4. I place your photo in an earthenware pot. I water it every Monday and Thursday at sunset. I was told you used to fast those days. In Ramadan, I water it every day for 30 days or less or more. 5. How big do you want our home to be? I can continue to write poems until you are satisfied. If you wish, I can annex the neighboring planet or two. 6. For this home, I shall not draw boundaries. No punctuation marks.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm very moved, actually. Uh, Hard to talk for me. Does anybody have any questions they would like for Osab?
Mosab, beautiful work. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Mosab, I'm going tomorrow to Beirut to work in the Shabra Shatila refugee camp for about a month or two, and then I want to go to Egypt. How is it possible? I know it's possible to leave Gaza and almost impossible to go into Gaza, but is there some way you can share with me some way I can get into Gaza? I'm not a journalist, I'm an activist. I'm a retired professor and lawyer. Can I get into Gaza? Is it still impossible?
Well, I mean, it's not easy to cross from Egypt to Gaza because the Egyptians would ask you for
Yes.
a proof that you live in Gaza or you have
I see.
a first relative. I mean, a direct relative in Gaza.
I
So
see.
I mean, when I returned to Gaza, I had an American son. I mean, he has an American passport. So when I reached some point in Rafah, the Egyptian officer asked me for his Palestinian identification paper. So I had to show him a soft copy of it on my phone. So I mean, it's not very easy to cross to Gaza, even if you are a few months old, unless you live there.
Wow.
So it's not easy. Yeah, it's it's part of the siege, or maybe it's part
I
of
know.
their security measures. The Egyptians.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mosab.
As
No.
for Mosab, any other questions?
Hello, Mosab. I'm speaking from Britain. I don't know whether you know me. I'm Maria Delby. We have a poetry and appreciation thing on Facebook. But what I wanted to ask is, you're actually writing in a language that is not yours. Um, how difficult is that for you? Because having a Spanish mother and a father who's Scottish, I find it hard to write in Spanish. What do you prefer? Or am I allowed to say that?
Well, I mean, in fact, I write in Arabic and English, but I don't translate between the two languages. So whatever I read in English, these were written in English, and I have other poems in Arabic, but I don't translate these poems into English. So I feel like when I write in English, I'm talking to the world. So I'm speaking to a world who is a contributing side to what has happened to my country, to my nation. So I'm talking to you as a British, as an American, as a whatever nationality. So I'm talking to the world in English, but in Arabic, I'm sometimes I'm speaking to myself or to something that I don't know what it is. Maybe to God, to my other Musab that I don't know about. But in English, when it comes to English, I write. It mostly comes to speak to the other people in the other side of the world. Yeah, I think it's effective to use the language that that those who contributed to our catastrophe, you know.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you for
other
asking.
questions anybody has? Okay, maybe we'll ask for some poetry. Does anybody have a poem they want to share?
Steve Bloom has a poem to share.
Good.
Should I just go ahead?
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Speak up.
Okay. Death and privileges. Rachel Corey died yesterday under a bulldozer in Rafah. The driver said he did not see her. This, I think, is true, even if the eyes perceived an image of this young woman in an orange jacket on her knees trying to stop his machine. He could not see her any more than he could see a home scheduled for demolition or the Palestinian family that once lived there. Rachel Corey died yesterday. A fellow student at Evergreen State College remembered she wanted to use her privilege as an American to help defend against the Israeli occupation. Today, we find 19 column inches and a photo in the New York Times. 2 weeks ago, when an Israeli bulldozer killed Nuha Swedan in a Gaza refugee camp and her unborn baby, this paper did not see fit to let us know. Rachel made page 3. That was her privilege. Rachel Corey died yesterday. A crushed body merged forever with the rubble of homes she tried to save, her young courage with a nation's struggle. Rachel Corey died yesterday. I have her story open in my lap. Rachel Corey was killed yesterday. I tell myself there ought to be a poem here, but cannot think of anything to say.
Wow. Thank you, Steve. That was very moving. We did a memorial program for Rachel Corey, and next year when we do it again, I'd like you to read your poem for us.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. Farid, you're here. Do you have a poem for us?
I do. First, I want to say hello to Mosab, and I want to share my, the good news that the killing has stopped in Gaza. It has been a very painful time for me. My family is in Jerusalem, and some of them are in Gaza, but I don't know where they are. But I'm so happy that things sort of stopped. The book Screaming Olives just came out, and Naomi's been helping me with it a lot, and I'm hoping to do a Zoom on it. So I'm going to read the title poem on it. And this I dedicate for Gaza and for Jerusalem and for Palestine. I'm hoping one day I can read it in Jerusalem. Screaming Olives. Beyond the evergreen, the settler is very mean. The olive tree glimpsed the oblivious coming, carrying a tank of petrol and an M16 hanging from his shoulder. Branches started waving hurriedly. Then the olives joined in, screaming like a chorus in a symphony. Call our owners, call our owners, but no one comes. Wonder why? Is it because the soldiers are busy sniping the farmers in the harvest? The tree started yelling at the man, get out of my existence. Every time you come, I know I'm gone. Stop killing my babies. Stop suffocating my insides. Stop your savageness. Emmett Till lynched in 55, way down near Selma, Alabama. Ali on the grill, the settler taunted. Burned in Duma, West Bank, Palestine, 2015. Mississippi, still. Thank you. This is the book.
Yeah, I have to get it. Yeah.
And I'm hoping to do it with Naomi, and I'm glad that she's here. And I thank you, Naomi, for helping me.
By the way, Fadi, Westbeth Community Room is open again. So Naomi, we can organize a reading for you. So just get in touch with me, and I'll organize a reading for you. It just opened up. So,
thank you. I would. I'm not sure about long distance travel at the moment, but as soon as I do get back over to North America, I would absolutely do. Yeah.
And I'll be glad to take care of the details and stuff, so I can help.
I guess we can do it as a Zoom, or I don't know, something. But they sent me an email, and finally they woke up. They said they never got my money, but I did pay them. So.
Okay.
I wanted to just thank Mosab as well. I mean, I've read, Mosab's poems before, but just to hear him read, and in this context, like Jackie, I'm just so moved, and I think, you capture this kind of paradox of the life and the death, and the death and the life, and I also think it's, you express the determination, but the despair, and I think that really, really got to me, because I think there's so much in, when you're writing to feel like the writing of witness is to always, is to have the hope and, the responsibility and the duty, but, you're a human being, and my God, what you're going through. So I think those moments really, really came home for me. The dark years, and I think they're long, dark years, and they're just black holes, really, aren't they? And you're right, it's time. It's got, it's well long overdue, and we just have to keep building that momentum. So I wanted to read a poem that I published in 2010, and it's still so relevant. It's about solidarity. It's called "And 13 Israelis," and ironically, I guess that's its title is still relevant today, because that's the number of the Israeli casualties in this bombardment. though I think not all of them were Israeli citizens. Some were Thai, for example. So this poem has an epigraph which is from Facebook. It says, in 23 days, over 1,300 Palestinians were murdered, over 300 children and 100 women, and 5,300 were injured. Donate your status. So people were cutting and pasting this. So I took that as the starting point for the poem. Donate your status. Donate your despair. Donate your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife. Donate your children. Donate a hospital. Donate 1,313 candles. Donate a match. Match a donation. Donate the fine line between you and your neighbor. Donate a bucket of soil, a packet of seeds. Donate a truckload of donuts. Donate a moment of doubt. Donate your most sophisticated haircut. Donate a crate of sophistry detectors. Donate your will to survive. Do not do nothing. Donate your body temperature. Donate your kidney. Donate your library. Donate your deepest desire. Do not fear scorn, rage, isolation. Donate a kilo of rice. Donate a tenner. Donate a round table. Donate the freedom you'd forgotten you had. Donate your shopping list, your love of avocados, Sharon fruit, and dates. Donate the sweater your grandmother made you. Donate a winter of warm, sleepless nights. Donate a new notion of nation. Donate a persistent belief that despite all evidence to the contrary, everyone everywhere is extraordinary. Donate an hour of your day to stand up and demonstrate. Peace is a process of learning to listen, and giving is not giving in.
Naomi, wonderful. Okay, we have time for one or two more poems. It's we've got about 10 minutes left. Anybody else?
Raymond would like to read a poem.
Yes, please. Hey, hi.
Hi there, Jacqueline.
Hi, good, thank you.
Okay.
Good to have you back. I was worried you weren't going to come.
No, I'm here.
I didn't get back to you. I'm sorry. I was just too overwhelmed.
No problem. No problem. This piece is called Herd Impunity. What if a colonial settler state accidentally vaccinated 61% of its population with a virulent variant of a vicious virus? What if that virus was a WMD3 Reich redo 2 Blut and Boden colonial settler thug blood and soil transmitted pathogen? What if the peoples tried masking, double masking, triple masking, quadruple masking, quintuple masking, but the only mask that worked was the Hannibal Lecter mask of aircraft steel? What if it could be contact traced back to Wounded Knee, Horse Canyon, Upper Station, Bear River, Oak Run, Sand Creek, Mud Lake, Chicago, Philadelphia, DC, Dallas, Atlanta, Rosewood, Tulsa, Treblinka, Buchenwald, Auschwitz? What if it infected every capitalist politician, including Slick Willie, Schmuck Cheney, W, Rummy, Woofy, the Rice Warrior Women, the Drone Ranger, the Lead Lady, Boss Tweet, Low Bar, Old Schmo, Lady Blue, Chancey Nancy, Sci-Fi, Chuck Toomer, Mitch the Witch, and even Raytheon's Raven? What if some of his symptoms included lockjaw among left liberal media, academy circles, and Tourette's on the ground? The only good Indian is a dead Indian. Lynch the N-words, death to the Arabs, and Jews will not replace us.
Wow. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. That was so great. Thank you so much.
Jacqueline, I got a poem I want to dedicate to Gaza, a short poem, believe it or not. And it's relevant. It's called Drone. It's relevant to what's happened today. The face-off got to gut up, but the changing shape of war, no face-off and no guts. Now just push a button and time explodes. Innocents are erased, massacred. No inquiry, just turn off the machine and walk away, shielded by constitutional rights, by corporate interests. Right. But you're trembling with frustration. You're looking frenzied, feathers ruffled in all four corners, tortured by impotent rage. Wipe away your tears. Wipe them. Come on. Oh, and sorry, but your phone's bugged. No more leaders, just shells. Politicians like drones. No eye to eye, controlled by blind ambition, no compassion, no heartbeat inside.
Wow, beautiful, Frank. Thank you.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure, please.
Mosab, thank you so much. It was beautiful to meet you. And it's this technology, thank God we can do this in some way. It's the only thing we have right now. Yellow wind awakes to blood on her hands. Blood flows from an injured heart. She awakes screaming, Kristallnacht. Only there is a fine sand caught in her throat. Halfway round the orb spits a currency of yellow wind, howls through dwellings bulldozed and bombed. Tweet reads, settler mobs are lynching Palestinians and destroying their homes, shops, and places of worship. At 8, she dreamt the Nazis were taking blood from her parents in the other room. She would be called next. She woke to scribble her name and the date on Scotch magic tape, bandaging a piece of toy furniture to be remembered. She is 16 and her TikTok plays, so you're proud of yourself coming here to kill children, confronting soldiers with automatic rifles in the hallway of her apartment building. Imagine that grandmother who's walking past their grandfather clock with Arabic numbers, coaxing her to be silent, get away from the door and don't talk to them. Put on my scarf, don't look them in the eye. When will you learn? Whose house is being overrun? Whose child is being chased, blinded, murdered? Whose biblical pretext is gaslighting the other? Whose eye for an eye for an eye ad infinitum bust out of sockets from rubber bullets aimed with apartheid intent? Report reads, a Jewish man in his 30s was lynched by protesters who mistook him for an Arab. She was 29 in a kitchen in Oakland, meeting a young Lebanese Arab man who looked more like her cousin than anyone else she had met in California. His growing up years, his family under occupation, the Israeli military, he told her in concise stories, headlines that read backwards, looking in his dark brown eyes. This could be cousin, spinning out a mirror image of what she learned or thought she knew. His words, his lived experience tore her inside out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I guess we'll bring up, we're up to 4 o'clock. Does anybody have one more poem? I think we have time for one more poem. No, okay. So,
I have something.
oh, okay. Please.
I just prepared a 1-minute video of one of the Israeli bombardment in our town. At night, I told you many families were killed during night, and they used, I think, new kinds of bombs that we never saw before. So I have a 1-minute video I took from my window at midnight when the At-Tanani family were killed. So I'm going to share the screen.
Thank you.
Bear and be ready. Do you hear anything? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you hear any bumming?
Yeah.
Okay, let me start again.
Wow.
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
Oh my God.
So here is just another one. Just 1 minute. Did you see this?
Oh.
Hear the rooster now. So that was at 12 a.m. You see, I mean, the blackout there, just a few houses. Yeah, there are many other similar videos, but these are, I think, represent what happened that night.
Sub, our hearts are with you. I'm thinking of starting a weekly, I did one demonstration in front of the Israeli consulate. Fareed and Frank were with me, and I'm thinking of doing a weekly vigil in front of the Israeli consulate here. It's just unbelievable. And I don't know how you can live the way you do under these circumstances and be so productive and creative. It's a gift that God's given you to stay focused and calm. You're an amazing person. We're very grateful that you shared your story and your poetry and the same way you have to live your life. So we're pretty grateful to you for joining us today, and we're going to stay in touch. I'm going to work on trying to get books shipped to you. I have a lot of books. I'm a professor with too many books. And my children want me to clear things out. So when I drop dead, they won't have to do all the work. So I have many books, and whatever way we can, let's put our heads together, everybody, and figure out how we can send support and love to everybody in Gaza. We feel helpless. We don't know what to do, but we're very grateful to you, Mosab, and send big hugs. Virtual hug.
Is there a way we can get make sure that his work gets out there more in some way? I don't know. Naomi, I know, is a editor from the anthology, but that Fareed, I knew. That's how I learned about Naomi.
I think Victoria has a question, but before she can go, I'm working on my first book of poetry. I'm in touch with some publishers. So I mean, I think it's not a very easy process, but I mean, I'm in the process of getting my book published. We reached out to a publisher in the US, and I got two offers from small publishers in the US, but I think it will take some time before we can get things done. And I do have some poems on the internet and in some magazine like Banipal, Poetry Magazine. I published two poems with Poetry Magazine, and some poems are going to be published in Banipal this summer and some other outlets. So
Also,
hopefully something.
send us the link so I can send it out to everybody in the group. Send us the link to your poetry. And
Sure.
I love the poems you read today. I'm going to be making a YouTube of this meeting and send it out. And I'm going to revisit your poetry. Your poems were amazing. And I want to read them again, taking my time. So if anybody else wants to do it, you will get the YouTube. I have to go to my granddaughter's ballet recital right now in Brooklyn. But when I come back tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll make the YouTube and send it out to everybody. So thank you, everybody, for being here today and sharing your poetry. And we're sending you a virtual hug, Mosab, and be safe, be well. You're in our prayers, and no friends and in the United States and the UK.
I'm going to type my email here in the chat, so anyone who wants to get in touch or have any questions can reach out to me.
Yeah.
Two things, if you don't mind, Jacqueline. Sorry, Mosab. Just to say, Culture Matters, which is a cooperative, writing cooperative in London, is based. They are very interested in sending you books. We read your poem, the grandfather one, and they were very impressed by it. They hadn't heard of you before, so that's come through. The other thing is, this is by the by, my children are teenagers. On TikTok, people are aware of what's going on in Palestine. These are young people. Forget the old ones. I know that we are all old, but young people are really aware. Now, that didn't happen before. That wasn't part of the thing before. But young people now, you see Palestinian flags, young people talking about it in schools. Here in Britain, headmasters are telling them off for bringing in political stuff, but they're actually coming out and talking about what's going on in Palestine. So it's young teenagers who are really aware of what's going on in Gaza. So that's great, I think, from what's happening in the UK.
Okay, well, we live in hope, and I know that young Jewish kids also here in the United States are very supportive of Palestine and very embarrassed by what Israel is doing. So I think things are changing, but unfortunately, the blood of people in Gaza has been spilled, and they're still living a life of horror. The Gaza blockade is just, Google the list of things that Israel has blockaded from Gaza. It includes things like pasta and chocolate. It's insane. So we have to do everything we can to pressure politicians to end this aberration. So thank you, everybody. God bless Mosab and Frank. Good luck to you in your travels tonight. And Farid, I'm going to get your book ASAP. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And next week, what I'm thinking of doing is, please send me ideas for programs and people to do. And Naomi, thank you for bringing us Mosab. So if you have ideas or about people or themes of program, please let me know. And I'm thinking what I want to do is interview Palestinian vendors. They're almost all the street vendors many of them are Palestinians. And I know this because when I go and order, I speak some Arabic to them, and they're always shocked that, this blonde old lady knows Arabic. So I was thinking it'd be fun to go around and just interview them about what they think about what's going on in Palestine. How is the American Palestinian community reacting? So I might go to some hookah shops in Brooklyn. Farid, if you want to come with me, we can go. But I'd like to have some input from the American Palestinian community, which Farid represents for us. So that's my idea for a future session, but please send me your ideas. Thank you very much, everybody. Masalama, masalama, and salam. Shalom. And
Right.
salam. Okay.
Thank you, Farid. Thank you, Mosab.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Jackie.
Bye.